Dean will soon bury her with some more things as well. So she's already gotten a chance to kind of go through the place, work with the two naturalists up there. And her and Dean have, we'll wait and see, some big plans for up yonder for the future. So Kristen, welcome. And I hope whenever you get a chance, stop up yonder and visit Kristen. And I know most of you know Dean Moore. Dean just came on board from Soil and Water as our new Parks and Rec Director. I don't know, there's many things I'd like to say about Dean. I think he's a great addition to the county. And he's already jumped in head first into Parks and Rec. So thank you both. And if you get a chance, stop up and see Dean.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm not going to throw either one of them under the bus to do resolutions today.
well.
I'll do those today.
Welcome, both of you. Great selections, great selections.
So the first thing we have on the agenda is to amend the county budget for a donation that we received at Up Yonder Farm from the public. It's for $156, which will be put towards supplies at Up Yonder Farm.
Chair will entertain a motion. Mr. Merlino on the motion, Mr. Stroud on the second. Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the donation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Next item we have on the
Just
agenda.
we'll send it on the
We
donation.
most certainly will.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Next item we have on the agenda is a miscellaneous resolution to amend the fee schedule. And this is where I said Kristen's already gotten to work. She kind of looked at the existing fee schedule she had. And with her and the two naturalists, they put their heads together and they want to make some amendments to it. I've attached the updated fee schedule in there, as well as just a summary of what the amendments were. And it really doesn't change a lot. There's some day use. We've changed it to, like a zero cost for members. For public programs, if you're a member, at zero cost. Some of the parking fees or homeschool programs might have changed a little bit. But you can, I added the old schedule in there as well, so you kind of compare them both. And if there are any questions, Kristen is more than willing to answer any of them. But it's just to update the existing fee schedule we have for Up Yonder Farms.
Do you need any action on this?
Yes, we need a resolution.
I'll move.
Mr. Thomas, moved by Mr. Thomas, seconded by Mr. Stroud. Any discussion? There being none, are we ready for the question? All those in favor of approving the change signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
The next item we have on the agenda is a new contract with Thurman Connection Snowmobile Club. As you know, last year they wanted to use the entire railroad right away for snowmobiling in the winter, provided we had enough snow. They used it last year. They put all their infrastructure in place that they needed over the bridges and such, and then they removed them all in the spring. We were happy with them. They caused no issues or damage, and they'd like to come back again this year.
Mr. Merlino on the motion, Mr. Thomas on the second. Any further discussion? Just a comment that we're certainly grateful to these clubs and what they do to with our trails to promote this industry. All right, then. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 4.
The last item I have on there, I actually added on, I was called by the HR department, realized that we didn't decrease the salary for the director of Parks and Rec. Tim left at a salary after 30 years much higher, and we reduced the salary, of course, down to the base salary for Dean to come on board. And it was not, we didn't do a decreased salary resolution. We only do the notice of intent to fill. So this is to do a decrease in salary from the $80,591 to $71,585. And the effective date of the salary change would have been when we did the notice of intent to fill, which would have been 7/15/2022.
All right, then. Do we have a motion to bring this forward? Mr. Thomas on the motion. Is there a second? Mr. Merlino on the second. Any discussion?
Yep, he's here, so I guess it's all right with him.
He's too far away to boot the lake.
All right, then. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
There is no information for discussion and review. We do have a referral pending item. Town of Johnsburg is interested in owning those two parcels next to the railroad and the train station. They had them surveyed, and I believe Kristen Dara from Dara Landscaping has reached out to the town to do their subdivision of the property. And I'm not sure where they're at with that. I'm not sure if Supervisor Hogan is on. I don't believe I see her. So
Okay.
they've been reached out to by Dara to assist them with that subdivision.
Well, your report back.
I will.
Privilege of the floor. Don, anything? Don's not. All right. I guess we can move right into Public Works.
So I just wanted to say to Kristen and Dean, thank you. Now you're dismissed.
Okay.
Get to work.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So the first thing we have on the agenda under Public Works is amend the existing contract. This is for the actual Moon Hill Road project. There was some additional construction inspection associated with that project. And we did not have to come back to the committee for the change in that, and we needed no local match. We had enough local match to fund the change order for that inspection work.
All right. We have a motion to bring this forward. Mr. Stroud. And Mr. Thomas on the second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Kevin, what are we changing over there?
There was some existing work associated with that federal aid project on Oxbow Moon Hill Road. This was last year's project.
Yeah,
The change order with the contractor required more inspection services from our consultant. So this is for the construction inspection services for that work. And there was at no time that we needed to come back for any money from the board. We had enough in local match. We were able to cover it.
This is a type of true up,
thank you.
kind of a true up thing. All right, then I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item 2.
The next item on there is a new contract, and this was going to be for the construction of the Amsterdam Road project. I'm actually going to pull that from this committee if the chairman will allow. The bids came in 1.8 million over the engineer's estimate. So we have to go back through the MPO process with the Adirondack Transportation Council and change the tip or update the tip to be able to construct the project. I don't foresee that being an issue, except for the fact that other projects that are farther out on the tip will be pushed to be able to fund this project. So
Do you want to delete it from the agenda, or you actually want to reject all bids?
we're not rejecting bids
Okay.
as of yet. We want to have the discussion with the FPO as to the funding and what we can move around on the transportation improvement program so
I
that
see.
we can fund this project.
Okay, well then we'll defer this to a future meeting. Item 3.
Next item we have on there is a notice of intent to fill position. This is a heavy equipment operator and it was due to a termination.
Mr. Stroud on the motion. Mr. Thomas on the second. Any discussion? We need to get these positions filled, especially before the snow starts flying. I don't know about you, but I'm getting very concerned. You might want to comment on this.
Yeah, I'd love to comment on that. We did see an influx when the board passed the raise for union workers. But they're coming in with CDLs, but with very little experience. So we're trying to get them trained, up and trained. I'm hopeful that we'll get more before winter sets in, but I think I'm currently down 8. I was down 11, so we had 3 more. I'm currently down 8 right now going into winter to be able to plow roads. And we're doing the best we can. We've been working with Don to get the advertisements out. But we're just not, there's not an influx of people coming in. If they're coming in without CDLs, and we're trying to work with employment and training because of the new entry-level driver training program. We're trying to work with employment and training to see if they'll fund some of this for the individuals that come in, but Liza has to interview them and review to see if they're candidates, that they would help them or assist them with the entry-level driver training, which is through BOCES, and it's for a Class B at $1,700, and for a Class A it's $2,900.
All right, then let's call the motion. All those in favor of filling the AGO position signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. Item 4.
The item 4 is a transfer of funds. This is just kind of a cleanup for the FEMA projects. We had noticed that back in 2019, there was money that was spent in H398 for FEMA work, which actually wasn't FEMA work. It was just for another road project. So we are taking the money out of a 2020 road project, which is Spoon River Road, and moving into the maintenance to cover that cost. And it's a wash. It's just a cleanup from the treasurer's office.
All right, then. Do we have a motion, Mr. Merlino, Mr. Stroud, in a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and carried. Item 5.
5 and 6 are running together. So this is kind of solid waste. I didn't think I was going to do this, but Julie and I got the bids in it. I thought it'd be prudent to bring this so that the towns would know kind of what their cost going into budget season was. So we put out the bids again for disposal and hauling. This time, from the direction of the committee, we did them together. And the results came in, and you'll see the bid tab sheets are attached. Julie, I don't know if you had a copy. I thought I had a copy with you.
I printed one out.
Your analysis. So Julie had done an analysis, and I think we can ask her if she'd like to talk about it as far as how this affects each of the towns. The one thing I will say is that there's 2 contracts because the Waste Management did not bid on the town of Hague. They only bid on all the other towns except the town of Hague. So Casella was the one that bid for the town of Hague. So we would have to go through with Casella for town of Hague and then Waste Management for everyone else. Julie, I don't know if you kind of want to just kind of talk through kind of the differences in what we've seen, if the chairman will allow.
Please, Julie, please, and welcome.
So I took yesterday to just do an analysis. This is after your tab sheet. There's another 3 pages that shows what you're currently paying versus what you could potentially pay in 2023. And I just put the increase or decrease under those amounts. Full disclosure, I based everything on a 40 cubic yard container just so I could have some numbers for you today. I realize there's different size containers for different materials, so that would, those numbers would be adjusted accordingly. Basically, there's an increase across the board for processable C&D. Newspapers, generally a decrease except for Hague. Magazines would be a decrease. Cardboard, Waste Management is charging 0, where right now everybody's probably paying 125 per ton. Glass is an increase only because of the hauling fee that goes to Tony Pitt. So there's no disposal fee on that. And then plastics was a big one. I mean, it doesn't weigh much per ton. So primarily it's the hauling fee that you're seeing the increase on. And all the formulas I included at the bottom, starting at the bottom of page 2, so you could see how I calculated these figures. For Waste Management, they did bid 4 different facilities. So all your processable, your C&D, and tires, if you have them, would be going to Green Ridge. The paper products would be going to Perkins, plastic to Hiram Hollow, and glass to Tony Pitt. So that's why they gave us those, gave us different charges for all of those haul costs.
And this is This is for, this all comes under our existing contracts,
This is a new bid,
totally new bid.
totally new bid starting January 1st. We only did it for 1 year.
1 year.
So we'll be doing it again next year, depending on some of the paths we take.
So, Mr. Chairman, do the towns have to contact Waste Management directly if that bid is accepted, for example?
Well, the contract is through the county, so they will know which transfer stations they get. But yeah, in order for you to coordinate any changeover of accounts or setup of new accounts, then that would be your responsibility.
I mean, I don't know how the trip cost can increase, given the increase in petroleum and diesel. It's just, that's, we all anticipated that the trip cost is to the point where the trip cost now is so much more than the disposal
Mhm.
question. It's what it costs us to have them take this away.
And they submitted these bids not knowing what that cost is gonna be for them next year. I mean, I'm sure they built in, some contingencies, not knowing the market.
There's a 1 year contract. There's no extension option on it.
No.
I don't know. Committee thoughts,
Not expensive.
John?
Thinking that at the time they put their bid in, fuel prices were probably at their peak. Now they're going down, but there's a big question mark. They could go up again as fast as they went up the first time. Or they could go down even farther. So I imagine they have considered all that, and the higher numbers are just to reduce their risk because they're not in business to lose money. But it looks like it's going to cost us money because their primary costs are in the processable waste. And that's a pretty hefty increase. But I imagine that's mostly due to anticipated fuel costs.
Fuel and I think labor. I mean, everyone's experiencing, major pressure on the labor side. And I don't need to tell you what's happened to the price of equipment. I mean, go out and buy yourself a major truck. It's really gone up a lot. And I expect it's going to go up even more. And then the waiting time, the delay time in even getting a piece of equipment is very significant. I mean, our commissioner just said over a year, and I think he's absolutely correct on that. So it's not only the price, but the delay in getting the equipment, all of that eventually has to translate through.
Fully from 1 year.
Mr. Garrity?
Just, Julie, real quick, these breakdowns here, now, we use Casella, but we wouldn't use that anymore because Waste Management.
Correct. Waste Management got the
So this
majority
is
of the
all
bid.
with- based on Waste Management.
Waste Management is gonna be doing your entire facility.
Okay.
So you're not gonna be contracting with 2 or 3 different vendors depending on what they're hauling. So it should be much easier for the towns this time because you've only got one company to work with,
Okay, so this is all based on Waste Management.
except for Hague. Hague is Casella.
But nobody wants tires?
No, they bid tires, but I didn't have enough information to know how everybody disposed of them to do an analysis on that. So, but there is an increase. I believe last time the bid was $10 per auto. Now it's 17. Yeah, it's substantial across the board.
And how will metal be handled?
I didn't include metal because you guys had your own contracts for that. And I thought for 1 year, just continue to do what you're doing. We can always revisit that for 2024 if you like us
Yeah.
to.
I mean, I think that the idea of changing markets has been brought to us. I mean, I think if we can work on how we index that and take advantage of any increases in recyclables. I think that's a very important question. I think it's something we need to resolve working with our friends going forward. But really, the transport cost is the major ticket here. That's the
And if you look at the tab sheet, the pricing between Waste Management and Casella is substantial. I mean, Waste Management gave us, I think, I mean, they went up, of course, but Casellas are way, way up. So that's why we didn't consider them for any additional contracts other than Hague.
yes.
Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, just so everyone knows, Casella used to be at $55 a ton, now they're at 88.
Correct.
Significant increase. And again, we did this only for a year for a couple reasons. One, we did it early so that the towns could budget for this. And number two is that we've been in discussions concerning a centralized recycling facility, which I believe there is a kind of an opportunity or a request of funds through ARPA for this recycling facility. But that, if that comes to fruition, then next year this could change. More because you would take some of that processable waste out, as well as, we're working on that organics management plan, so that may help us as well.
How does that, Julie, how does that tire quote from Casella, well, I'm sorry, Waste Management, relate to what we presently have?
I believe right now, I'll grab my.
Mr. Chairman, while she's looking at.
Sure, go right ahead, Fred.
Just a question, there's a $2.50 charge that the state charges if you buy a new tire. I mean, what do they do with that money? Or is that just a ridiculous question and we all know? But everybody that buys a new tire pays a, what did they call it? An environmental conservation law that imposes $2.50 per tire waste tire and recycling fee on sales of most new tires for New York State. So are they helping us with this cost? Wondering.
Any response to that? Checks in the mail? I mean,
I don't know.
That cost related, if I go and have my tires changed on my truck, they take the old tires and they dispose of them. So is that what the $2.50 is for? I mean, I don't pay the $2.50, keep my old tires.
No,
I bring my old tires home.
I know they charge you for it, so that's why I'm wondering. It goes to the state. So you go, all right, so I decide that, oh, I blew my tires, so I just cut my tires off and throw out the rims or whatever. But I mean, I have those tires that I bought, say that, I did it. The tires that I bought have that $2.50. It's kind of like a deposit on the bottle, I guess.
Yeah.
There's got to be a surplus of funds there that, people get rid of their tires. I mean, you see them all over the place. Just a question, something to look into.
yeah. Now, Julie, maybe you could check into that, or Kevin, just what the state has in terms of helping us with these tires. Julie, what did you have for last?
I don't have the tab sheet with me, but I believe it was $10 per auto tire. I'm not sure about truck. I want to say 15, but I could be wrong on that.
I
I
just
didn't bring
wanted to
my
bring
old
that to
one.
everyone's attention. That looks to me to be a big increase.
Yes,
Frank?
I believe there are companies out there that want tires. They'll actually come and pick them up and take them away.
Kevin?
I was gonna say that same thing that Supervisor Thomas said. There was a couple years ago, and actually I wish Dean was kind of still here. Through Soil and Water, we did a tire collection at DPW. They brought a couple tractor trailers in on our lot, and then we kind of advertised through Soil and Water in the county for everyone to bring their tires there. So there are companies that do take that. We could do that, but that's a once or twice a year, and I'm not sure, like with us at the shop, I know that we have a significant number of tires every year. I'm not sure how, how many the towns have, but we have a significant number every year at the shop. So we can look into seeing if we get a company come in and do that, but it's usually a once or twice a year collection on it. And if I could answer Supervisor McGowan's question is, based on what I'm reading here is the department is responsible, the New York State Environmental Conservation Department is responsible for administrating the collection of the fee. The fee has been extended through December 31st of this year. If someone operates a tire business, they are to collect $2.50 and remit $2.25 to the state, and the businesses are allowed to keep 25 cents from that $2.50 that they collect. The fee applies to all new tires that they sell. Is regardless of whether they're taking the tires or keeping the tires, it's for every tire that's sold, brand new tire that's sold. But it doesn't give you any indication in here of what they're using the funding for. There's no indication on here as to what where the tires are going to.
Just, I mean, a dumpster full of tires, that's a lot of tires. That's a lot of tires.
Yeah.
I don't know how many tires you'd be talking in a,
I think we estimated 200 tires in a 40-yard roll off. Does that sound right? Do you know?
I think that's about right.
so, you can do the math on that. That's a serious increase in expense.
Right, and if we filled up, according to this chart, if we can sell them by the ton as well.
Waste Management did not bid them by the ton. They only bid them per each. Casella bid by the ton, and County Waste we can't consider because they didn't provide any pricing for hauling. So it would be $2.50 per ton with Casella if you wanted to award that to them as well, as Hague. I don't know how I think we would have to calculate that to determine what would be the best deal. And that I didn't get to that yesterday.
$200 tires times, assuming they're all car tires, auto tires. I mean, now that $17 is that disposal and hauling or just disposal?
That's just disposal.
And the hauling fee would be reflected where?
The hauling fee would be reflected on the second page to Green Ridge. So if you had a full container of tires, say for the town of Bolton, you'd be paying $3.51 on top of that $17 per tire.
Right. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention as well. So the 17, but I'm just sticking on autos, is disposal costs. On top of that is the hauling cost. Yeah, I was going to say that's, I mean, it was expensive before. Now it's, I don't want to say it's doubled, but it's increased by 70% anyway. And then I'm sure probably the hauling is increased also proportionately as well.
Mhm.
But just to add, if you go back to your 200 tire example, that's $3,400 for the tire disposal on top of the $351 to haul it.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I do believe we were able to get rid of them by the ton previously, so we've been stockpiling it. We've been charging our customers a rate much lower than what the $17. So we have a big pile of tires we're going to fill a old roll off with someday. if there is a way to be able to sell them by the ton, but then we'd have to have a contract with Waste Management to take them to, or Casella would
Well, waste management,
haul it.
if we were to do it by the ton, if everybody was consistent and you fill the container, then we would award that to Casella for the $250 per ton. And then you would pay their transportation fees. It wouldn't be a waste management transportation fee. So you're looking at even more
Or
for transportation.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, 493.35.
Luckily, you don't have.
You would hope. All right, Kevin?
Just what I was gonna say, for now, if you do have those pile of tires, put them in a 40-yard container and have them hauled away before the end of the year.
Good point.
Mhm.
We got some lead time here.
There we go. Okay.
All right. Julie, I can't even begin to tell you how much we appreciate your efforts. I know this is not easy, putting these types of
I've
specifications.
kind of got it down to a science now.
You know,
I've been doing it so
Julie,
long.
I mean that so sincerely. I can't even, I remember what it used to be like before, and I think this service is a tremendous service that you provide to us. And I know there probably will be some changes going into next year with the recyclables in particular. And I look forward to that as well. And
And the composting could potentially be right, a big reduction in your processable. So
Okay,
that
then.
might change the numbers.
the chair will entertain a motion then to bring this forward for consideration. Mr. Stroud? Comments on the second? The motion is for 5 and 6.
Yes.
All right then. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Mr. Thomas?
I do have a question. Does it ever become more cost effective for the county to haul its own, to haul all the containers themselves? Does that point ever get reached? I mean,
And no, I don't think we've done the calculation. Do I think that may be feasible? Sure, if we buy another truck. And that's because currently the truck we have right now, we just got it back from being gone for probably almost a year. And we came back, we've already had problems with it again. So I mean, the truck's just got a lot of miles on it, a lot of wear and tear. So it would definitely require a new vehicle. And it may make sense, but that's a lot of miles to hit every transfer station a year.
Right.
You know, or however often they would pick up to take that material out of there. I know the winter months, it's much less than what we have in the summer months, but we can definitely look into that and see what that cost would be. But I know right up front, it's $250,000, almost $300,000 for a truck.
My concern with that is that historically, we're very bad at passing the cost along. Whenever we go to talk about increasing rates on something, it turns into a major prolonged multi-year issue. Whereas the private sector, it costs what it costs, here's what it is. And so but that type of enterprise, I would view that myself as more of an enterprise type operation, and it would have to be self-supporting, and that cost would have to get moved along immediately.
I mean, I can have Thomas, you know, now that we have Thomas on board at the solid waste, I'll have Thomas take a look at that. Because there is going to be another added cost. There's going to be, you're going to add probably another employee
Right.
to kind of run around and do that, at least one to come around, you know, run around and do that. If like we can maintain the old truck, get a new truck, you got 2 guys running around the county picking up all that material.
yeah, I would say you'd have to have 2 trucks anyways.
But I think Supervisor Thomas has brought up a good point, that I think that we need to evaluate the transport costs and what other options, if any, exist. I don't think there's any question about that. That this is a major expense.
Yeah, it just seems like, looking at it from not actually doing it, but I'm looking at it, that at some point, it would become cheaper for the county, and for the towns to haul their own. But maybe not.
Let's do the math on that and let's report back. Good suggestion, Frank. Good suggestion. Anything else, Mr. Akers?
Nothing under action agenda items, under discussion items, and I can run through them fairly quickly. I just wanted to kind of touch base on some of our construction projects for the
Sure.
year.
I wish it would.
So local road projects that we have, which is the bond money or budget money from this past year. Bolton Landing, County Route 11 is complete. Church Street in Chestertown is complete. Water and Tug is complete. Pilot Knob Road is complete. Hadley Road is complete. Attica Drive is complete. And these all had different types of work done to them, whether it be a mill and fill or a cold in place or mill with multi-course. Friends Lake Road is complete. And Harrington Hill Road in Warrensburg is complete. The road projects that are still going on is Landon Hill. And Supervisor Leggett called me yesterday. They're only on binder and they did not open up any more driveways. They did break off the binder for the fact that we didn't want people to have a lip. But they have not come back and build the driveways because they were going to be gone for a week and I did not want them to leave everybody's driveways for a week. So they're coming back. They have to do top on it and then they'll tie in all the driveways at that point. So Landon Hill still needs to be completed. Sawmill Road in the town of Bolton still needs to be completed, and Summit Drive and New Hague in the town of Hague need to be completed. Westbrook Road and Fort George Road bids to be advertised in the next couple weeks, and hopefully, depending on how contractors are doing, we would get those two projects done this year. Local projects that are under design or ready for construction in 2023 would be Main Street, of course, in Johnsburg, if the town has completed their water line work. Coolidge Hill will start first thing out of the gate in the spring. And Diamond Point Road in the town of Lake George will start out in the spring. But those are on those two, specifically Diamond Point had a lot of drainage associated with it, so that took a little bit more into design. As far as local culvert and bridge projects, Bay Road over to Glen Lake Inlet, which is the one that we have closed right now, is currently under construction. Sagamore Road retaining wall, final plan specs are ready for the bid in the next coming weeks, and we're awaiting indication of successful right-of-way acquisition for that project. Stony Creek Road, County Route 2 over number 9 Brook, still waiting on permitting from a few. But we did do the bid on the structure and we have the bid in, as I let Supervisor Thomas know, from shop drawings, which I believe now we've already approved, 42 days and we'll have that structure for County Route 2. Federal aid projects, Palisades Road over Brant Lake, it is now complete. It took a long time to get that one done. Federal projects that are ongoing currently is Bay Road over Halfway Brook, Horicon Avenue over Finkelbrook, and South Johnsburg Road over Mill Creek. Federal aid projects that are going to go to bid this fall, which we already had Amsterville Road out to bridge or out to bid, and just as I had stated earlier, we pulled it because the bids came in almost 1.9 million more than what the tip has in it. But we're going to go back to do an update on the tip. I will be back to report what projects are probably going to be pushed off the tip, which there's a couple of bridges that were on there, maybe out to the 5-year plan that may fall by the wayside for now. Although we're asking Aaron Frankefeld from the AGFTC to see if there's any more funding out there that we can possibly get our hands on. And I'm also meeting with Beth Gillis tomorrow, as well as Chris Belden from the Lake George, Lake Champlain Regional Planning Board, to see what type of grant funding they may have to assist us as well. Johnsburg Bridge replacements, Glen Creek and Dippy Kill will be bid this fall, and of course they'll go for construction in the spring. And the big one is Quaker Road will go out to bid probably this fall, winter, and that's Quaker Road in its entirety. And I believe with current estimates, we're looking at a $12 million project for Quaker Road. But with the way estimates come in, I don't know where that's going to fall in the end. And that's what we have for ongoing projects. Is there any questions on any of them?
I just want to add, put this log on the fire, and that is that you can see, based on the actions today, that the cost of this work is not only stunning us and our estimators, but also stunning our consultants. And so the what we're looking at going forward in terms of what the actual cost is going to be of the work that we need to do, we know it's going to be more. And then the question is, well, how much more? And I think it's going to be a lot more. And I mean, we can redesign and we can try to do things to try to mitigate that. But in the end, I think that if we're going to stay current with our work program, that there's going to be an enormous budgetary strain, not only next year, but the following year especially. So, Frank.
Well, part of the cost seems to be the state of New York, it would be my opinion. We've had a permit application into the Adirondack Park Agency since May 4th or 5th. And here we are almost the end of August to get a permit to replace a culvert across the county road. I mean, this is not like somebody wants to build a big housing development or a motel or subdivide property or something. This is a county road that's been there for decades. And we're waiting on the Adirondack Park Agency to get off their duff and decide what wetlands and what needs to be done and get it done. I guess my recommendation would be to ask the county attorney, can we just declare an emergency and do whatever we want? I mean, this is a county road. I don't understand why we have to wait on the APA, and thereby DEC won't issue permits until the APA signs off, or neither will Army Corps. This is ridiculous. I mean, are we going to do this with every culvert in the county? We're going to wait for the park agency to decide if we can replace the culvert because there might be a little chunk of wetlands there somewhere.
Well, I think you need to talk about that, Kevin, because that deals with the modification of process whereby the certain work now that used to fall under the municipal home rule of the highway superintendent has now been modified. You might want to talk about that.
Well, the APA I can't talk about, and I don't necessarily want to badmouth anybody, but they have dragged their feet on this. I even had one individual who works for the APAs on their Adirondack Salt Task Force that I'm on, and I asked them if they could expedite this, and things still didn't get expedited. The bottom line is there was some minor wetlands that were out there. There's this discussion regarding Indiana bats and so on and so forth. And now there's because we're replacing a culvert, because there's a potential that there's wetlands there, we have to go through this public comment period for whatever it may be. This was never in the past. Now what Supervisor Cano was referring to with the DEC and the Corps is they won't issue a permit now until the APA is done. The APA has to give their sign off. And once we get the APA sign off, then the Corps and DEC will get involved. The issue with the Corps and DEC now, which there's some at DEC who don't agree with this, we used to have a general municipal permit to be able to go out and do culvert work. You're replacing in kind. They don't allow us to do that anymore. I mean, that's why these things seem to continue to drag. And now I know there's some at DEC at the Corps who would want us to go back to these general permits again. And I think we need to. I think that's a push at a much higher level than me. I more than once stated to individuals at DEC that I don't agree with this. It ties our hands in the work that we need to get done, and things drag on forever. And to go back to what Ron was saying with we're blown away by the bids this year. Engineers' estimates typically were always 2, 3, 4% higher than what the bids would come in. Now we're seeing engineers' estimates blown out of the water, and the bids are coming in. I want to say 20% 20-30% higher than what they normally would in the past. And I think it's comes down to material help, whether or not they can do it. There's a lot of factors that play, but I do agree that, there's a bigger push needed. Maybe this from Senator Steck or from Assemblyman Simpson to help us with this, just kind of rerouting the APA or the DEC and the core as how we would do things.
Mr. Garrity, Chairman Garrity.
When did all this change?
The general municipal permit ended last year. They no
I
longer-
think we need to start writing some letters and getting this out as soon as possible. I mean, this is ridiculous that we can't replace a culvert and we're making our residents travel X number of miles around to and from work. I mean, the agency doesn't feel the need to speed this up.
We haven't gotten that indication whatsoever.
Mr. Thomas, Supervisor Thomas.
I can understand that Superintendent Ajos can't badmouth these people, but I have no problem badmouthing them. This is absolutely ridiculous. I think the county should take action. I think the county should declare an emergency and go in there and change that culvert and tell the APA to what they can do. That's what I think they should do.
Kevin.
It's enough of this, you know?
And I had talked about that, just so the committee knows, with the APA, the DEC and the Corps. And their indication was, well, you're still going through the permit process. Even if we said something. So that's the word that I got from them.
So what are they gonna do? Take us to court? Well, let's go. Maybe we can get a judge to, that's got a brain on his road and on his.
I think the process, we're not talking about putting in a new
Right.
culvert. We're talking
Exactly.
about replacing an existing culvert. Surely there needs to be a process that understands this. And maybe Kevin, you could arrange for a conference call with the chairman and whoever else you feel is appropriate. I certainly would be willing to participate in the conference call on this, and perhaps Mr. Thomas, and obviously the county administrator and the county attorney, that we can't be languishing like this, because on some of these culverts, you hold up an entire project and then it costs you money with that contractor, and then those types of delays, and then also if the culvert is faulty, you jeopardize the road should there be a major storm event. So that we have to have some reconciliation between what they're charged with protecting and what the highway superintendents of our towns are responsible for. I mean, what is the balance between what the highway superintendents are charged with under state law and the APA regulatory process? We need some definition on this, Mr. Stroud.
Yeah, well, and there's a public safety issue. I mean, response times, a lot of these, Adirondack Park situations with these rural roads, there isn't too many alternatives to respond to emergencies. So, and a culvert failure is a public safety issue. This should be put on fast track by the APA. If it has to be in their hands, it should be put on a fast track system.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. And any town supervisor is familiar with what they and the highway superintendent are faced with day in and day out, year in and year out, and the complexities of things, all kinds of dam washouts, beaver dam washouts, major storm events. I mean, you name it. And if we don't stay current with our culverts, and then what ends up happening is the road washes out, and where does all that sediment go? Right into the stream. So, I mean, that's what you're dealing with here is is an event that can cause a lot more damage than replacing that culvert. I can guarantee you that.
I just want to add, I'm trying to follow the rules as much as I can. This is my job to follow the rules, but I also know that there's towns. And not just, I've spoken with my counterpart in Washington County, they're doing the same thing. They're ignoring the rules. The towns are going out and replacing their own culverts and not going through the process of getting that approval because you're replacing something in kind. I think a lot of it changed with the Army Corps when they considered all waters navigable waters. And even though they're not navigable waters, they feed a body of water that's navigable water. So that's where it comes back as well, the permitting, even if it's an intermittent stream, that feeds into a navigable water somewhere. So it's under that same, regulation or guidance or whatever, which again, I'm trying to follow the rules. I crossed my mind more than once just to move forward and get the job done. But I also know that and I've made others aware of this at DEC and the courts. They're not going to follow your rules. They're just going to do what they're going to do to make sure that they get the jobs done.
Well, we need to have, and I would say this for the county attorney, we need to have a very clear definition of what our highway superintendent's authorities are. I mean, they are invested by state law with very high and significant responsibilities relative to the highways of this county and the state. And they have to make, sometimes they have to make very quick decisions to mitigate damage. And if we're impeding that decision-making process on their part, what does that mean? We need to have a very serious discussion. I'm all for a good process. I'm all for protecting the environment. There's no one in this room that isn't for a good process and protecting the environment. At the same time, in the end, if there's a problem, believe me when I tell you, no one at the APA, no one at the state's going to be blamed on this. Is going to be that highway superintendent and the supervisor of that town. They're the ones that are going to have to answer to why something wasn't done in a timely fashion, or what the problem is. I mean, I'm just saying it like it is. So we need to reconcile on this issue, and I don't know if I know the Highway Association that you chair meets regularly. What are the thoughts of the highway superintendents themselves?
And we're all frustrated. From the County Highway Superintendents Association, they're all frustrated. There's been a lot of talk through them writing letters, correspondence to disagree. As I said, I know with DEC, they've been talking about coming up with a general municipal permit again, but they're not jumping head over heels to dive into it. That may take the next 3 years. I'm not sure. But they're frustrated as much as I am. But there's been discussion of writing to legislators such as Supervisor Steck, Senator Steck and Assemblyman Simpson and others throughout the state. So it's been talk, I think, and I kind of the county highway superintendents or the town highway superintendents in Warren County. My discussion with a couple of your highway superintendents is they're just doing their work. They're just not gonna say anybody in particular, but they're gonna go out and just change their culverts and they're not gonna worry about permitting or anything else. They're
Chairman,
just gonna get the job done.
we belong to two organizations. We belong to the APA Local Government Board, which we certainly can bring this to their attention. Usually there's a APA representative at our meetings, and we also most of us are part of the AATV, which is 104 municipalities within the park. I think we need to take this up. We need to take it up immediately. I think we need to get to the park agency, at least with some phone calls, if not letter of follow-ups. I just need to know what the details are so we can reach out to them tomorrow at the latest, to get the details on how long this has been delayed and what we're delaying it for. And then we should take it to Senator Stack, Assemblyman Simpson and Jones. They're both have counties within the park, and if need be, call the governor's office and find out what's going on. Because this is kind of ridiculous, especially that's a well-traveled road between Thurman, Warrensburg, and Stony Creek, that's their main travel road, and to wait because somebody can't make a determination about a few wetlands? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't think that's all of it, but I will get the whole detail of what the correspondence we received from the APA, but I can give it to you. Yeah.
No, I have a tendency to agree with Supervisor Thomas. Start the work.
You'll arrange that.
I will.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other business to come before the, Mr. Merlin?
You know, one thing that nobody brought up, culvert holds up the whole pavement project. Can't pave the road and just say, wait till we get the permit to do the culvert. You gotta do the culvert first. Ties up a lot of the pavement projects. And if the longer you wait, the higher the prices. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
You're absolutely correct. That's experience talking there. That's, believe me when I tell you, we just did a major roadway with a lot of culverts, and I can tell you, you're absolutely correct. Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, you know, that's a good sized stream there. I don't, you know, what do you want to move the stream somewhere or?
I don't even have any plans to move the stream. In fact, the culvert I'm putting in is bigger, so we're staying out of the stream bed.
Right.
So
It's like, this has been there for decades.
the issue on that with County Route 2 right now is there's not a significant travel. We have a traffic signal in place, but we're paying on a monthly basis to have that temporary traffic signal there. But if we get a significant rainstorm, that culvert's gone. The existing one that we got closed down to a single.
What happens when you reach October 1st and you can't no longer be in the stream anymore?
We would have to ask for an extension at that point.
It's interesting that they're having this discussion as we hear the thunder and the rain rolling in. It's prophetic, isn't it? Mr. McGowan.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yes, Kevin, while we're on this one, and I don't know if I heard, how are we moving out on the Bay Road one? I know we've been,
Just reported on that we were.
oh, maybe that's when I stepped out. Is it?
We are currently under construction with that right now. The contractor is I believe they are pouring the footings.
I'm not talking Lowe's. I'm
not
talking Upper
I'm not
Bay.
talking Lowe's either. I'm talking at Walk Up Road.
Oh, awesome. I haven't been down there in the last couple of weeks because I haven't had to go that way. I actually go a different way now. So that's good to hear. Almost at the end of our season, but we're good. Thank you.
Supervisor Thomas has been out of his culvert a lot longer.
Well, and I agree. We should just move forward with that one. I'm with Mr. Thomas.
Do we have any, we did receive some communication.
Yep, we have an email from Zero Waste. It says regarding the ARPA grant request. When Zero Waste Warren County Committee members were asked for public comment by the ARPA Advisory Committee on August 9th, we appreciated the opportunity to share our support of the ARPA grant application for a central recycling facility submitted by Warren County Department of Public Works Solid Waste. The press coverage on the front page of the August 11th Post-Star about the grant applications included comments made by Mary Beth Mylott and me about the financially sound purpose of using the grant funds to build the infrastructure needed to help the town save money by selling recyclables directly to markets versus the costly approach of towns paying to get rid of the recyclables. Helping town budgets impacted by COVID expenses seems to fit ARPA requirements. The decision by the ARPA Advisory Committee regarding which applicants to support is down the road mid-September. Whatever the final decision is, we believe Warren County must move ahead with modernizing the transfer stations. Zero Waste Warren County is committed to moving forward with the county on this project. We hope to continue planning the next step with the project work group, including supervisors Dickinson, Stroud, Merlino, Kevin Hajos, and Thomas Sabo. Thank you for your attention. Sincerely, Diane Collins.
Do you have we heard anything on the application at this stage?
No, they're under review.
Under review. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments? There being no other business, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Stroud on the adjourn. Mr. Thomas, thank you. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.